Coco Gauff breaks silence after viral racket smash. I'm a real person with real feelings. Coco Gauff's Australian Open ended far earlier than she expected, but the aftermath revealed a side of the 21-year-old superstar that felt strikingly honest and deeply human. After a shocking straight sets loss to Ukraine's Elena Svitolina, Gauff didn't trend for her forehands or footwork. She went viral for her emotions caught on camera in the tunnel of Rod Laver Arena. Gauff was seen smashing her racket in frustration. The moment quickly spread across social media, sparking debate. Was it out of character, or simply proof of how much the moment meant? Days later, Gauff chose to speak for herself, and her words resonated just as loudly as the clip. Coco Gauff explains the moment that went viral. Entering the Australian Open as the number 3 seed and reigning French Open champion, expectations were sky-high. Instead, Gauff was stunned 6-1, 6-2 by the 12th-seeded Svitolina in a match that never found its rhythm. The frustration spilled over after she left the court. I tried to go somewhere where I thought there wasn't a camera because I don't necessarily like breaking rackets, but I lost 1 and 2. Gauff explained. I broke 1 racket at the French Open, I think, and I said I would never do it again on court because I don't like that's a good representation. It was a rare admission from a player often praised for her composure. Rather than excuse the moment, Gauff owned it, acknowledging that she didn't like what happened, but also refusing to pretend it didn't come from a place of caring deeply. I'm a real person with real feelings. Gauff's most powerful response didn't come in a press conference. It came on Instagram. In a post that struck a chord with fans worldwide, she wrote, "Living and learning, but still will keep trying to move forward. Also, I'm a real person with real feelings. I care a lot and am trying my best. Thank you to those who understand that." That short message transformed the narrative. What could have been reduced to a viral clip instead became a conversation about pressure, vulnerability, and the emotional toll of elite sport. At just 21, Gauff already carries the weight of expectations that many athletes don't experience until much later in their careers. Since breaking onto the global stage as a teenager, she's been framed as the future of American tennis, a label that brings admiration, but also relentless scrutiny. Her candidness offered a reminder. Even Grand Slam champions struggle. The incident also highlighted how different this generation of athletes is choosing to be. Rather than hiding emotion to preserve an image, Gauff leaned into authenticity. She acknowledged disappointment, admitted fault, and emphasized growth, living and learning rather than pretending perfection. Looking ahead, the Australian Open loss doesn't define her season. If anything, it adds to the narrative of resilience that has already shaped her career. Gauff will now turn her focus toward defending her French Open title in May, where expectations will again be enormous. But if this moment revealed anything, it's that Coco Gauff's strength isn't just in her backhand or her speed. It's in her willingness to be honest about the emotional reality of chasing greatness. And for many fans, that vulnerability only makes her more powerful. It wasn't a gentle drop, not a calculated protest. It was a sharp, human moment. Fiberglass meeting hard surface. Frustration made audible. Cameras caught it instantly. Phones clipped it. Timelines looped it. Within minutes, a teenage athlete's private exhale became public property. And then came the noise. Hot takes. Memes. Armchair psychology. Moral lectures packaged into 280 characters. For some, it was entertainment. For others, evidence of immaturity, of weakness, of entitlement. A single second of emotion was stretched thin and pinned under the bright lights of opinion. Until Coco Gauff spoke. I'm a real person with real feelings. It wasn't defensive. It wasn't dramatic. It was a sentence that landed softly and cut deeply because of how obvious it should have been. The weight of being unbreakable. Coco Gauff has grown up in public. Not metaphorically, literally. Since her breakout as a teenager, the tennis world has watched her evolve from prodigy to contender, from promise to pressure. She is praised for her composure, her intelligence, her grace. She is called mature beyond her years, as if that maturity were an obligation rather than a compliment. But there's a hidden cost to that label. When young athletes are framed as symbols of the future, of excellence, of inspiration, they quietly stop being allowed to be human. Anger becomes ungrateful. Tears become weak. Frustration becomes bad sportsmanship. The expectation is not just to win, but to win beautifully, to lose gracefully, and to feel quietly. A racket smash breaks that illusion. It reminds everyone watching that beneath the sponsorships and rankings is a person whose body is full of adrenaline, whose mind is fighting doubt, whose heart is invested far more deeply than any spectator scrolling past a clip. The irony is sharp. We celebrate passion until it looks like passion. A second that lasts forever. Athletes know this now. The cameras never blink. Every sidelong glance, every muttered word, every crack of emotion can be frozen, slowed, shared, judged. A bad moment doesn't pass. It circulates. What the viral clip didn't show was the hours of discipline before it. The early mornings. The lonely travel. The ache of loss that doesn't disappear when the match ends. It didn't show the restraint it takes not to break, most of the time. But the internet rarely wants context. It wants a symbol, a villain, a lesson. So a racket smash became a referendum on character. I'm a real person. When Gauff said, I'm a real person with real feelings, she wasn't asking for pity. She was drawing a boundary. She was reminding the world that emotional control is not the same as emotional absence. That strength doesn't mean never cracking. It means standing back up after you do. That a moment of frustration does not erase years of integrity. Most importantly, she was reclaiming her humanity. In a sports culture that often rewards stoicism over honesty, her words felt quietly radical. They challenged the idea that elite athletes sold the public perfection. They pushed back against the notion that young women, especially, must be endlessly poised to be respected. Men smash rackets and are called fiery competitors. Women do it and are told to calm down. Gauff's statement cut through that double standard without naming it. Why this moment matters. This wasn't just about tennis. It was about how we consume people. How quickly we flatten complex humans into clips and captions. How easily we forget that public figures don't stop feeling just because we stop listening. Gauff's response resonated because it echoed something many people feel in quieter arenas. At work, online, in school, in life. The pressure to be professional at all times. The fear that one bad moment will define you. The exhaustion of being judged without being known. Her honesty didn't weaken her image. It strengthened it. Because authenticity always does. Beyond the smash. The racket is already forgotten by most. Another clip has replaced it. Another outrage has taken its place. That's how the cycle works. But what lingers is the reminder.